I'm going out, I gotta go. I'll bang a rang on the radio. So turn it up, I'm telling you. I think I'm ready for something new. Hey, hello.
Hi, I'm Noelle, the host of Pop Punk and Pizza, and today I'm joined by UNWELL. How are you guys?
Great.
Good. How you doing?
Great.
I'm doing good.
Doing good.
And you guys are from Detroit, right?
Yes, we are.
Do you guys have a favorite pizza place there?
Dude, I love Buddy's Pizza. Buddy's Pizza.
I love Buddy's Pizza. Buddy's Pizza is so good.
Detroit style
If
pizza.
you're like familiar with Detroit style pizza, it's fucking so good.
Cool. I'll have to try it if I go there. And how did you guys meet each other?
That's a good question. Well, me and Chris met through we're both audio engineers or went to school to be audio engineers and music producers, and
Okay.
we met interning at the same recording studio, and then he ended up just like full-time working for me, and then one day he was like, we should start a band, and then we met Matt. And then
Yeah,
Matt, you can chime in.
I've known Matt since 7th grade. And so
Cool.
me and him were in a band together in high school. And that kind of, it wasn't anything super serious. But we started UNWELL during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Connor, wait, you guys should tell the story of how you and Connor met, Drew, or how you guys found Connor.
Yeah, so when I had first started my recording business, I had a contest for a free EP.
Okay.
And when I decided who won, it was Connor's band, and he lives out in Colorado, and they won this contest, and I was like, I'll record 3 songs for you guys for free. I was just trying to get my like name out there with some bands from out of Michigan, and Connor and his band came out, and that's where we met. And then their band kind of fizzled out, and Connor brought me his next project, which is his other band, Common Rule. And we did a couple records together, and shot him the question after our current drummer situation wasn't really working out, if he would be even interested in being in a pop punk band, because he plays very heavy music, and he was actually totally down. And now he comes out here to Detroit from Denver to be in a band with us. So very fun.
Cool. So when did you guys decide that music was something that you wanted to pursue?
I feel like I've known, like, since I was a kid, always wanted to. Like, the second a guitar got put in my hand, that's what I wanted to do.
Cool.
Yeah, same. I literally graduated high school and started working at a recording studio, and I've been trying to make a living doing music in every way, shape, or form since. So
Yeah,
Nice.
I've always wanted to do music. My dad was in a touring band in the 80s, and so music's kind of just always been a part of my family. And I picked up a guitar when I was super young, and knew instantly that was what I wanted to do.
Nice.
Yeah, I went to school went to college for musical theater, and I got
cool.
my bachelor. Yeah, I got my BFA from the University of Cincinnati, CCM, but I like grew up singing in high school and was in that band with Chris in high school, so I had a good mix of like pop punk and some more classical stuff, and that's kind of where I got my style from. And then I graduated college and joined this band, and it's always just been part of my life, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Cool.
Yeah, I started playing in bands in high school, mostly like heavy music, and I honestly didn't think that it would be a possibility to make a living doing that until I think sophomore year of high school. I got an offer to go tour Europe with this band, and I decided school wasn't for me, so I dropped out and went and did a tour, and I was hooked. So it's been the goal ever since.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What about you, Joe?
Like I said, ever since I was young, my parents bought me a guitar when I was a kid. Ever since I got one, wanted to do it. So just kind of sparked it in me right away.
For sure. And right now you're an independent band. So would you ever want to be signed to a label sometime in the future, or what is kind of your stance on labels?
I
Matt,
think
you can
like
take that one.
okay. Yeah, I mean our stance on labels are, yeah, I mean we're definitely open to signing to a label in the future. We're not like we're proudly independent for sure. Like we love where we're at. We love what we're doing. We love the freedom and control we have over what we're doing right now. But our door's open. Anything's possible in the future. We think labels roles can be, they can provide, they can be really crucial members of your team, and valuable players on your team as well. So,
Mhm.
I think they can provide a lot of resources for bands and a lot of opportunities that you can't do independently. Because there are
Right.
things a lot harder to accomplish independently. Not, I mean, an independent band can be just as successful or more successful as a signed band at the end of the day, but it's just some
Mhm.
things are a lot harder independent and some things are a lot
Yeah.
easier when we're open to whatever makes the most sense because there's a lot to those deals other than just being like, oh yeah, it's this much amount of money for like this many songs. Like cool. Like there's so many like terms and conditions and like
Yeah.
the contracts are crazy. So, there's a lot that goes into signing to a label, but yeah, that was the long form answer of saying that, yeah, we're open to it for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good answer. And you have your debut album coming out this Friday called Trial and Error. How was the process of writing this album compared to writing your last EP, New Moons?
Who's got that one? You got all right. So when we were writing New Moons, I felt like we're really figuring stuff out and where we wanted to take just like our style of music. Obviously we wanted pop punk, but it was definitely a I guess for a lack of a better term, like trial and error of figuring out what we wanted to do and who we wanted to be. And once we started writing this full length, I think once we did Epiphany was when we realized like I think we have a unique style of where we wanted to kind of push ourselves in. And throughout that process, it's been a very rad balance of like aggressive pop punk, trying to push it into, radio rock a little bit. But yeah, I think the second album writing process was a lot more mature, a lot more thought out, and a little bit more definitely more planned because we had learned so much from our first EP. But yeah, I guess that's my answer. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, it was definitely
Cool.
altogether a better experience. And yeah, we were all, I think, in different places in life too when we were writing New Moons. And yeah, just the whole process of trial and error has just been so great.
Yeah. So that's how you kind of like came up with the name for it. It's just like there's a lot of trial and error.
Yeah, Matt said it recently. How did you put it recently, Matt?
I don't remember word for word how I said it, but like, yeah, it's a lot of trial and error still, like figuring out what our sound is, what we are doing as a band, trial and error in our lives as well too. Because
Hmm.
speaking for me personally, like I'm still, figuring shit out. Like I don't,
Yeah.
it's a lot of trial and error in my life right now. So that was like a theme that resonated with me greatly for this album. Because I mean, we wrote Epiphany almost 2 years ago now, and so this it's been like 2 years that we've
Yeah.
been working on. So like
That's
throughout
a
these
long
2 years,
time.
yeah, it's been a lot of up and downs and trial and error, and it just kind of felt like, there's a lot of mix of genres on the album, not like complete genre, but like there's a lot of
Yeah.
influences on that
Yeah, I know
from
what you
different,
mean.
like yeah. So it just kind of felt like it just felt right once we came up with that name.
Yeah. I think it does fit. And that's kind of how life is. It's just overall a lot of trial and error. So it makes sense. And you have 5 new songs out now from the upcoming album. What were your inspirations behind those songs, either musically or otherwise?
There's
I think
like
all
I
of them
said, I
kind of
mean,
tell different stories.
yeah, there's a bunch of different, like each song is its own inspiration and story. So
Hmm.
it's kind of hard to sum it up in just like an
Yeah.
overarching thing. But
Well, which one
I
is your
mean,
favorite out of the
Chris or
ones
Drew,
that you
you
released so far?
Or
I
Connor?
think for
or
me, I
Nathan?
think for me, it's trial and error. I think it came to us in such a almost easy way when we were sitting down creating it. It just everything flowed out so easily. I think we did it in the instrumental in like 1 or 2 sessions.
Yeah, it was like 2 days of writing, and that this is the first time that we felt like we truly got to collab with other artists on that song, and it was very inspiring having more than just us 5 guys in the room, even though we definitely feed off each other a ton. Having a couple other guys that have incredible talent was really, really inspiring to me. And for those who don't know, we had a saxophone feature on the title track of the record, Trial and Error, and his name's Saxel Rose. And I feel like a lot of bands always go out with who's the famous singer we can get on a song, and trying to approach that with someone who plays saxophone that can bring an entirely new flavor to a song was you guys can vouch, I was absolutely losing my mind about this idea. And yeah, and we got so lucky shooting the music video with everybody's schedules and stuff, and yeah, that song kind of is a miracle to me, so it's probably my favorite.
Cool. And what has been your favorite show that you've played at so far?
Joe, want to take that one?
I feel like my favorite one so far has been our Crowfoot one, just because it was such a big show.
Yeah,
it was a very powerful. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
the Indianapolis one where it was pouring rain, because it was like honestly a terrible show, but it was so fun because it was such a shit show. Like,
Yeah, sometimes that makes it more fun, like when things are going wrong.
yeah, literally the wind was blowing our drummer's cymbals over. Like,
Oh no.
yeah, it was a windy rain day. It was gross.
Did you keep going after that happened?
Oh yeah.
It was the song number 1.
Matt was catching
no.
cymbal stands as they were falling over.
Oh great.
Coming up with squeegees to like push water away from all of our pedal boards. It was brutal.
Oh boy. That's
But
funny.
definitely, I think I agree with Joe. My favorite show is the Crowfoot. It was our hometown show on the last tour we were on with Every Avenue and Make Out, and our hometown really brought it. And we were only playing one song off our new record, but it was just like, it was the first time we saw like a ton of people singing words, and just being at home and having that resonate with everybody at home was,
the energy in the room was just like unmatched.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was crazy. It was a crazy night. Like
Yeah.
that show. I mean, yeah, it was probably the largest crowd we played to the whole tour. It was just
That's
unbelievable.
cool.
And Every Avenue was from the same hometown we are, so like it was like a double hometown show.
Yeah.
So it was, yeah, the energy was unmatched. And I'm gonna be the odd man out. One of my other favorite shows we ever played was again in our hometown. Our hometown is just like, there's something special about it, that energy in that room.
Yeah.
And there's the last time we played it at the Pike Room on our very first tour we ever went on. That was an awesome show too, because the whole tour, it was our very first tour. The tour was a lot of fun, but it was tough. A lot of learning happened. First time sleeping in a van, so it was a tough tour, but we ended the tour in our hometown at the Pike Room, and the energy was there. All the people were singing Tightrope. I remember like it was the first time we ever heard people singing Tightrope, screaming it at us, like back at us. We didn't have to do anything. And it was like one of the most, I'll never forget that moment when we took out our inner monitors and were like listening to them singing. It was so cool. It was
That's really
awesome,
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's kind of what every band hopes for, just like for people to sing their music back to them. I think that's really cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you have the first show of your tour tomorrow in Detroit. Are you excited for that?
So excited.
Can't wait.
Yeah. And you're playing at the Cobra Lounge in Chicago this Saturday, November 18th, for any Chicago listeners out there. And what artists or bands inspire or influence you when you're writing songs?
Man, there's a ton of them. I think we're fans of all different kinds of pop punk, and I think we're fans of all different kinds of like post-hardcore and metal and all that stuff. And I think we've it's hard to accumulate because we had a lot of influences on different songs, but we're big fans of, you know, Story So Far, Neck Deep, and you know, 4 Years Strong, and all the big bands that have like really pushed you know, pop punk forward in the last like 5 years.
Cool. And is there a specific message that you hope people get from listening to your music, or like what do you hope they get out of it?
You know, I think let me think about this. um you know, our thing as a band is like, or kind of why we're called Unwell, is just because we named ourselves kind of when we were all in like in an unwell situation in our lives. Like we didn't really know what we were doing. It was during COVID, so like, you know, a lot of people can kind of relate to those themes, and
Mhm.
I think Trial and Error is a good like follow up to New Moons, in the sense that like kind of what we touched on earlier, like life is a lot of trial and error, and there's a lot of each song has a different message, but like each song has like, I feel uh like a really relatable story that is just kind of like a chapter in life. Like each song feels like a different chapter in my life personally, because
Mhm.
you know, over the last 2 years, like this song was written early in the 2 years, and then
Yeah.
like in the middle of those two, one of the songs, and I don't know. So I feel like I'm circling it here. I don't know if I can like pinpoint what our message is, but it's you know, something about trial and error. Anybody else can help me out?
I think a big one is I hope people find inspiration in the music, and whether that's like getting through your day, where there's songs like Clueless where like, you know, can motivate you through having a shit job, or the song Trial and Error where like a similar theme of just trying to get through life with trying your best and trying to figure out what you're trying to do, and hope you don't end up in a shitty situation, and but if you do, how are you going to get through it? And I think a lot of our music is could be used as coping mechanism, not coping mechanisms, but it can help you through, you know, tough shit, because I know when we wrote it, it helped us through tough shit. And I
Mhm.
know when I always listened to music when I was a kid, there was a certain factor to listening to a band that you were into that made me want to pick up a guitar myself. And
Mhm.
I've always wanted to just inspire kids to pick up a guitar or learn how to sing, or just you know, figure out like inflict inspiration in music in general.
Yeah, for sure. Music is
I
so
have
inspiring to
I have a
me.
better
It
answer.
just like, oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, like My Chemical Romance inspired me to like start playing guitar, and like, all my favorite bands helped me get through hard times. So that's definitely very relatable.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was just gonna follow up on Drew there with a better answer. There's a lyric on the title track, Trial and Error, that goes, maybe it's just me, or maybe it's my depression, but when I fail so many times, it's hard to find the lesson. And that's like that lyric right there kind of sums up the whole album for me. Like,
Yeah.
and just my life the past 2 years. Like when you fail, it's for me sometimes it's like really hard to find why, like every that's like the whole thing of trial and error.
Yeah.
Like you're supposed to fail, but you're supposed to learn from your mistakes, and like
Hmm.
sometimes you fail and you're like, well,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Like what am I supposed to learn from here?
Yeah,
Like what was the
Yeah,
whole
what am I
point?
supposed to learn from this? What am I supposed to learn from this?
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and yeah. So I just wanted to add that to
I
that.
like that. Yeah, it's very true. Sometimes that happens. So you've toured with bands like Alesana, Palisades, and Makeout. Who has been your favorite band to tour with so far?
Hmm. I'm gonna say Alesana for me.
I
Okay.
would agree on Alesana for me
Yeah,
too.
Any specific reason?
they're
Well, they're just fucking legends, dude. I don't know how else to put it. Like, it's crazy to think that they haven't put out a song in like 10 years and they can still
Yeah.
fill an 800 to 1,000 cap room effortlessly. And they're definitely tour veterans, and that was like
Hmm.
tour number 2 or 3 for us. And it was just cool to like see guys that have been at it for so long and being like on our third tour and just seeing how it's done.
Yeah. And kind of like learning from them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool. And if you could collaborate with any artist or band, who would you choose?
Oh, anybody, huh? Um, damn, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go big and say like, shit, Tom DeLonge or like Mark Hoppus or
Yeah.
Ben Barlow from
Well,
Neck Deep.
Yeah,
Or
I think that would be mine. Would be Ben Barlow.
dude,
Mhm.
I'd wanna work with Caleb Shomo, hands down.
Okay.
Bro.
Oh, that is a really
Dude,
good
Yeah.
one.
yeah. Caleb Shomo
Great
or
choices.
Turnstile would be fucking
Ooh,
sick.
yeah.
that would be
Turnstile
dope.
would be
Like
great.
Turnstile too.
Yeah.
Nice. And you did a pop punk version of Fast Car by Tracy Chapman, and I like your version a lot better, honestly. What made you want to cover that song in particular?
Um, so if I remember this correctly, we wrote that similar to uh similar to when we wrote our song Friends Change. It was like within maybe a month or a couple weeks apart. And we had this meeting with a lovely lady named Nicole Abia, who works for Hopeless Records, and she kind of gave us like more of like a she made our art the big moon logo on our New Moons record.
Okay.
She's an awesome lady. And we had a like kind of like a like a counselor's meeting of like, we're starting a band, what what are things you guys look for? And
Mhm.
she just kind of gave us a lowdown of like what like big labels like kind of look for in young bands and what's cool and what's not that it like got us signed or anything, but she told us that banger covers is a huge thing for them and something that they're into.
Okay.
And I never wanted, if we were gonna ever cover a song, I never wanted to do a top 40. And I always think when you are in a pop punk setting, that nostalgia and stuff like that hits the hardest. And
Mhm.
I've always thought the main riff of Fast Car was like hiding a pop punk riff in there, and I've always thought it
Yeah.
would be a song to cover. And when we sat down and thought about what songs we could cover, that was the first one I threw on the table. And we like wrote the majority of it like literally as soon as we got off of that meeting. And
Oh, really?
yeah, we were super inspired by the idea of just like covering like a nostalgic song, and we kind of just like
Mhm.
threw some guitars over like the old version of Tracy Chapman's song, and we were like,
Yeah.
I'm like, this could be really cool. And the funny part is her song, her version has like, man, like 5 or 7 verses, so we had to like
Yeah.
really cut it down.
Yeah.
So we definitely applied like more of like a pop structure form of that song. And yeah, we were surprised at how awesome it turned out. And I think it inflicts a ton of nostalgia for people, and I think that's why a lot of people like it, is you get a certain feeling when you
Mhm.
listen to it.
Yeah. And I think you added a lot of energy to it too. Like I could hear like in the original song how it could be made into like a pop punk song. Like it just has that kind of like vibe, I guess. And
It's
then you
very
just like added
jumpy.
more energy to it. So I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah. And where can our listeners find your music?
everywhere.
Anywhere
major,
there's music, we're there.
anywhere,
Cool. So like Spotify,
all the
Amazon,
places.
everything.
Yeah.
Cool. And anything else you'd like to plug or mention before we go, like social media or anything like that?
We're
Yeah,
on.
we're going on tour. We're going on tour, baby.
Yeah.
We're going on tour. Wait, no, what number? It's November 16th through November 30th. And we're coming Midwest, East Coast to a ton of cities. It's gonna be a ton of fun. It's our debut album tour, and that's what I wanted to plug. And we just dropped a whole new merch line, and it's the first time we printed vinyl. And we got this really cool
Awesome.
splatter vinyl, and we're
Yeah.
all so stoked about it because it's just we've never had. I don't know about any of these guys. Well, no, I don't think any of us have had a vinyl of our own music before. If
Never.
I'm right.
I've
So,
worked
like-
for bands that have had vinyl of music that I've worked on, but I've never had it for our own music. So
Yeah.
it's
That's
really
really
special.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. yeah, we're just gonna have to plug the new album. We put so much hard work into it, and we couldn't be more excited for everyone to hear it. So
Yeah.
go stream that shit. It comes out November 17th.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys, for taking the time to do this interview. I really appreciate it.
We appreciate
Yeah,
you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. It was nice
Thanks.
meeting you guys.
Yeah, nice to
Yeah,
meet
you
you.
too.
Thank you so much for your time.
Of course. See ya.
Bye.
Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza.